The litter box. 2 levels down, beneath a skin of concrete, around Facility 57, Deep Creek Experimental. The real structure breathed like a machine. The air was cold but too clean, scrubbed flat by industrial filters until it carried no scent of earth or life, only a hint of hot circuitry. The hum of those filters lived in the walls, a constant thrum, like a swarm of wasps too deep to swat. Rows of rack-mounted processors stretched into the dimness, their LEDs pulsating in uneven constellations, as if a city skyline had been buried here and left to flicker. The sound of cooling fans pressed at the ears without pause, a white roar that erased silence and left only a sense of pressure, as though the air itself was always about to burst. Someone coughed once, a dry sound quickly swallowed by the fan drone, and a discarded coffee cup on a console quivered from the vibration, its shadow stretching long under the lights.
The hunter's way.
The operations center occupied the facility's heart. Harsh fluorescence spilled over the chamber, flattening faces at their workstations and deepening the shadows between them. Projection screens the height of walls rippled with maps, code streams, and telemetry feeds. Plastic chairs creaked softly when someone shifted. The clink of a coffee spoon carried too far in the hush. It was a place designed for vigilance, outward-facing, unblinking, and yet inside it, the people seemed more like custodians trapped within the lungs of a great animal than masters of the system they served. The flicker. Mao Lian stared at the Rockland after-action report. The paper edges smudged faintly with toner. She still preferred a hard copy, something she could mark, fold, and tear if necessary. Years of habit had built it into her bones, a defiance against screens that could be scrubbed clean with a keystroke. What a fiasco, she thought. Levitation achieved, but phase ablation failed. A containment breach, an unknown fourth subject, a backup plan that looked more like panic than a test. First live tests always carried variables, but this had been no mere glitch. This was a wound, public and raw. She rose from her station, her boots clipping quick and soft against the floor, and crossed to Station 6. Helu stiffened before she even spoke. "Tell me again about the tracker," she said. He leaned forward, jaw tight, hands hovering too long above the keys before typing. Lines of data rippled across his screen, and a number shifted toward the center. Asset tag 13B. Currently dark. His voice cracked slightly before settling back into practice control. Knuckles popped as Mao folded her arms, leaning over his shoulder. She was compact, her dark hair knotted back, her uniform sleeves rolled neatly above the elbow. She wasted nothing, not words, not time, not movement. Duration. Helu squinted at the data stream, pushing his glasses up with the side of one finger, sweat gathering under his temple. Intermittent for almost an hour, then dormant again. But strong when active, it's live. Lian's eyes narrowed, the light sharpening the edge of her gaze. Triggered by what? Hard to say. Could be resonance bleed from external towers, or could be a remote activation. Can't confirm. He tapped again, hands quicker now, and a second feed spilled across the left panel. Archived logs, years old. The infamous Asset 13B. A tag sewn into heavy canvas trousers from the old material stress tests, long before safety protocols dulled the program's edge. Most had been destroyed. A few, too inert to worry about, boxed and forgotten. One lost and dead for years, until now. Halu's throat worked as he remembered the last time a dormant tag had reawakened. A mistake that ended with a team chewed apart in the snow before reinforcements could even find them. He pressed that thought down, forcing his hands to stay steady over the keyboard. Mao's voice was quiet, but carried a weight that made Halu's throat tighten. "Show me the map." He obeyed. The main wall shifted, pale red lines stretching across digital terrain. River valleys, ridge spines, forest dense enough to swallow men. The path wasn't random. "That's no accident," she said. "He's trained. Folding himself into blind zones. He knows how to choose vectors and ghost the net." Halu rubbed his temple with 2 fingers. Frustration breaking through the mask. "Doesn't matter how clever he is. Activation proves he's carrying live material. That's our man." Mao didn't move, didn't blink, her gaze fixed on the red trace crawling north. The servers hummed behind them like distant thunder. "And yet," she said softly, "he's still free." The silence that followed wasn't empty. It pressed, heavy as stone, filling every corner of the room until even the fans seemed to hesitate. Aestrat. 3 nights earlier, a recovery team had hauled in the riderless platform. Now it rested under heavy containment in a low-ceiling lab down the hall from operations. The operators called it by the Russian name Aestrat, or aerial platform. The object sat on an elevated cradle, too quiet, too still, as though it was waiting. Its deck was matte black, edges beveled with aerodynamic precision, yet warped in places like a twisted Z. At the center, a large sphere housed the emitter array. Along the base, directional nozzles circled a hidden power source. Each nozzle was machined so finely that the fluorescent lights caught on its rims, flashing faint silver glints like the edge of blades. Technicians moved around it with efficiency, though none of them liked standing too close. Even dormant, the platform had presence, as if it occupied more than the physical space it consumed. Gloves whispered against metal, scanners pinged softly, and every sound seemed to come back sharper, like the room itself was amplifying their movements. When they powered it, resonance shivered through the air. A pen rolled 2 inches across the nearest workstation, as if nudged by a subtle vibration no one could measure. One technician froze, staring, before forcing himself back to the checklist. The board did not move, and that made it worse, as though it had chosen stillness. Not warm, not organic, but sharp and metallic, a cold pulse that prickled skin and made the hair on forearms rise. Where a regular aerial device would be louder, while it chopped the air, the board pressed outward with ruthless silence like a carbon-fibered skateboard sculpted for war. One of the junior techs swallowed hard, muttering in Mandarin that it felt like standing next to a beast that was pretending to sleep. His senior silenced him with a look, but the words lingered. The platform gleamed under the lights, patient as a predator at rest. The hunt map. Back in operations, the pale red trace twisted across the digital map. Every few miles, the signal winked into existence, a faint pulse, then gone. Each burst left another breadcrumb, glowing faintly on the terrain, like the fading echo of a heartbeat. Between them stretched long silences, the kind that pressed at nerves and made officers lean toward their screens, waiting for the next flicker to break it. "It's active again," Halu said, voice low. "He's still moving north, but not straight. It's irregular." His fingers drummed the edge of the console unconsciously. It's like he's stitching shadows together. Mao folded her arms, her expression carved flat by the glow of the screen. He doesn't trust open ground. Crossing rivers where they pinch, cutting timber corridors, and avoiding choke points. Never where a drone sweep would expect. He's not running blind, he's running smart. Her eyes tracked the red marks with almost predatory calm. Then she said it, quietly enough that some in the room weren't sure if it was for them or for herself. Ghosting. The word carried weight. Not praise, not dismissal, but recognition. Men who vanished long enough began to believe in their own skill. And belief, Mao knew, always led to overreach. Let him think he is invisible, she added. Give him rope, and we will tighten it around his own neck.